Welcome to Texas Education 911. I have Monica Cline here today. You get the Melissa and Monica show or the Monica and
Woo.
Melissa show.
We're Eminem.
Oh, yeah, the
Yay.
M&M
Has
show.
Eminem gone woke? Oh, we're the non-woke
Probably.
Eminem.
I just have to joke. If you had a little camera, or not a joke, if there was like a camera showing you my whole room in here, I'm still moving into this new office area because I got booted out of the other one. And
Oh.
you're literally just seeing the only corner that is presentable at the moment. If I was sitting any other way, oh my gosh, you would not want to see what's going on in here.
Okay, Melissa and everyone listening, if anyone's online right now, I have been still living in my office is in a you just wouldn't even imagine what's in here, and I have to turn my monitor so you can't see the bathroom, which is right next to me, and I have for the last year, I have been successfully and I'm not saying anything rude because my husband knows I say this. I have trained him in the last year how not to use the restroom when I'm online.
Right.
Like, do not go. So it's just yeah, we do what we need to, Melissa, but I'm excited that you have a new office. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So yeah, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, goodness. Okay, so I'm excited about tomorrow. And
Yes.
so maybe you want to fill in about tomorrow. We're having a day at the Capitol. Texas Ed 911 will be at the Capitol. And that's what I'm excited about. So I'm working on my one pager, which I've never created before. And I want to say this before Melissa tells us about Capitol. Well, no, Melissa, describe what we're doing tomorrow. And then I'm going to speak to all the people who are intimidated to go to the Capitol. How's
Oh,
that?
that's perfect. Yes, let's do
Okay,
that.
okay.
Okay, so tomorrow, we are having a day at the Capitol. It starts at 10 o'clock. Check-ins at 9:30. If you go to our website, texased911.com, under Capitol Days, you'll see the flyer with information, instructions on where to park, even how much time to allow yourself to park and get through security, those kinds of things, where to go when you get there. Our briefing is actually going to be at the historic Supreme Court, where they used to actually have the Supreme Court before they moved to their own building. So that's special in and of itself. We have special guests that are going to be stopping by. We are going to be awarding more courage bills. And I don't know, it's possible we might have our first hero bill. If you didn't know, a couple weeks ago, we came out and decided that we needed to reward our legislators who were really swinging for the fences and doing what parents want. And doing it the way parents want it to be done, and doing it in a way that if it were to pass today, even though it might be imperfect, it would incredibly change the landscape of education. And so there are parents all across the state that are literally reading legislation and coming to consensus on, how it represents parents or works against parents' rights. And it's just really an incredible process, an incredible thing to be part of. And so we are going to be hitting all kinds of topics tomorrow. I think it's going to be unlike any legislative briefing that they've ever seen at the Capitol, because it is literally about parents and parent testimonies, one after the other. And unfortunately, what they're talking about are things that have been going wrong. And some of them are incredibly awful, things that nobody should have to deal with, where the school districts are not responding. We're going to have solutions. We have bill language that filing deadline is Friday, and we have some language that we still want legislators to file. Yes, we do have it in Leg Council, for those of you who know that that's important. And we are going to be walking the halls after the Leg Council is, or after our legislative briefing is over. We also have a press conference that will be taking place. We also have, at the end of the day, Representative Toth hosts every Tuesday a worship service at 6 o'clock. And so we will be participating in that. And one of the things they're going to do is pray over the efforts of Texas Education 911.
Amazing. I didn't even know all of that. I didn't know about the prayer time. So I'm excited to be there. This is so exciting for me. So this is the part I want to mention about parents feeling intimidated about going to the Capitol. So I've been to the Capitol a handful of times, and usually I have our good friend Debbie, who has literally taken me to the room where I'm supposed to provide testimony. She's even gone as far as typing my information in because I have no clue and I'm so nervous. And I just want people to know that you should not be intimidated about going, or if you are, go anyway.
Yeah.
And if you're if you're kind of nervous about going, consider coming with us tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because this is a group of people. We're all at different levels of having visited the Capitol and talking to legislators. By the way, they're just people
Yep.
like you and me. But, when we go together, it'll give you an opportunity to watch how people interact with legislators, what their approach is. One of the things I'm working on and I'm using one of Debbie Simmons' one-page handouts that she gives to legislators about something that she is, that's close to her heart and is a priority for her. And I'm following her format and creating my own one-pager about an issue that I want legislators to look at. So, it's no, even if you do feel nervous about going, sometimes you just need to go with some friends or with a group like this coalition with Texas Ed 911, because it's so important that as families that we're not only leading at home, but in our community and through politics. And this is why we're in the position that we're in right now, is because we haven't been involved. And we need to take that leadership position. And I've always said that what's important about that is that our children are watching us be leaders in our home and being leaders in our community and being leaders in politics. And that means a lot. They need to see our leadership and have conversations with them. It's okay that you're still learning. It's great for kids to see that we're always learning too. That's learning is lifelong. And then something, Melissa, that you said just now about, that these are parent priorities, and that this is what the parents want. And I can imagine that there's some people out there who are thinking, well, why is it all about the parents? So let me answer that question. Because they're our children. That's why. It is all about the parents, because it's our children.
Yep.
Our children, not the state's children. The children don't belong to the school district. They don't belong to the state. They don't belong to the federal government. They were our children. That's why it needs to be led by the parents. And I know that some of you may have seen that video, Melissa. I'm sure you saw it. I don't remember what state it was in, but there was a teacher who spoke at her school board meeting and said, I have a master's degree. What do parents have? And that was, obviously everyone was upset about that. But especially for me, my parents dropped out in the 8th grade. And we lived in poverty, but they're very intelligent. My mom, later in life, got her GED, passed it with flying colors the first time. My parents are so smart, but they chose to drop out in the 8th grade to help support their parents. They were living in poverty, so they went to work full time. So why do I say that? Because so many times in families, or sometimes in my experience in the Hispanic culture, we think that if we don't have a degree, if we don't have credentials, we don't have the right to speak. And that's not true. We have the greatest, something better than a degree. And that is that God has given you the authority, the sole authority with Him to raise your children. So that's why these priorities are so parent-centered, because we are the authority over our children. And currently there are, people, a movement within our government, socialists, communists, who are wanting to remove that power from parents. So that's why it's so parent-centered. And I would say that anyone who's not parent-centered about this, then they're not for children. They're not for our children. They're not for family.
That is
so
correct.
Melissa, I don't know if you want to say anything about that, but
a couple things come to mind. Our rights have been taken away. We're not just trying to make incremental changes at the Capitol the next couple months. We're not just trying to get a new idea into the schools. We are literally needing to take back our rights that have been stolen from us, period. And so this isn't about what are our top 2 priorities. We have 13 priorities that have been identified where parents' rights basically have been stolen or, ignored, which equals stolen. They've been stolen from us, and we need to start acting like they've been stolen from us, and we need to take them back. And just like you were talking about, we're not experts supposedly, which is just so offensive, but really explains how they've really been indoctrinating parents to think that they're really not supposed to be parents. I had a situation, I guess it was almost 6 years ago, where I was challenging sex education at my school district in San Antonio because it was unlawful. And one of the questions I was asked is, Melissa Beckett, do you have a degree in health? Or Melissa Beckett, do you have a certification in this or that? Because in their mind, being a parent was not enough. And that is exactly what you're talking about. That needs to be switched. The other thing is that kind of came to mind, and it actually came to me when I was sitting in church yesterday. So a lot of people don't know this, but for the last 12, 13 years, I have been terribly sick. For the first 2 years, I lived in a recliner and in bed. And then for the next 10 years after that, 9 years or so, I was very, very incredibly limited. And literally God is giving my body life at this moment, I think for all kinds of different reasons. But I was reflecting back on what a school is supposed to be for parents. And there, a lot of times people will say, well, parents aren't involved. Parents aren't showing up. Well, I want to talk about it from a different point of view. One, parents are crazy busy with the way it takes two incomes to live these days. In a lot of situations, things have gotten so expensive. All the activities we do for our kids, that's a conversation for another time. But parents are really busy. We have a lot of single parents. They don't have the extra help that they need. And so the school should be a place that we can send our children and trust that they will not violate our values. And when I was literally stuck at home, unable to do things for my children, the school should have been a safe place for my children to go and not have my rights taken from me. And that's exactly what happened. And whether it's because you're at home sick, whether it's because you're a single mom, whether it's because both parents are having to work crazy hours, whether it's because grandma is suffering from cancer and you're helping them, school should not be taking advantage of the fact that parents are stretched thin or going through difficult times. They should be there to step up and help reinforce the values that we have at home. And that is the exact opposite of what they've been doing. And shame on our schools for doing that.
Very well said. Very well said. You're absolutely right. And I believe that I remember a time when it was like that, when teachers were not violating the values and beliefs of the families of the children that they were teaching. And now we're seeing what seems to be something that happened all of a sudden. But we do know that this has been going for a long time, and we're trying to undo that. And you're right. I love what you said earlier, that we're not trying to make incremental change. We are wanting change, period. And I think that's part of the frustration in legislation, is that the game that's been played for so many years is incremental change. And I think that it's a very dangerous game. Because there's some legislation or some bills that are being presented that it looks like incremental change, but it's actually codifying bad teaching or bad, well, yeah, but, I don't know if it's Melissa. I mean, like, for example, a bill that would say that we're not going to teach gender identity until a certain age, but then we will allow it after, when they're a little bit older. People see that as incremental change, and they see that as, we want to win. We can pass this bill, but we can't pass it if we try to get rid of it altogether. Knowing that gender identity philosophy or conflict theory is incorrect scientifically. Sex is binary, period. So it's like a bill that's basically codifying that we're going to teach an ideology that is false. And
Right.
I think that's the perspective that we need to have, is that so many times legislators are thinking, we just need to pass something. But then you also have to look at the other side. It's like, well, you've just codified, which basically means you've just made it legal to teach this in a school. So now I would say that the people who want to teach that gender or that sex is not binary are going to celebrate that incremental bill, because they know it'll just be another session that they can completely codify it and make it legal to teach it at all ages. And we know that they're teaching it, even if it's illegal, they're still doing it. So we need those consequences. And so I definitely stand on the side of, we're asking for what we want, fully, without any kind of compromise. And that's not what as I'm learning when I go to the Capitol, that's not the way the game has been played.
Yeah.
And so it seems very shocking to hear people, or my impression is that they think we're naive for not knowing how to play the game. And I'm
Mhm.
saying I'm playing a different game. That's
Exactly.
not my game.
Yeah.
I'm not about compromise when it comes to the safety of our children and our families
That's
and our
exactly.
liberties. So it's time to change the game. It's time for us to not play someone else's game, but that we're actually going to be there to make real change.
That's exactly right. And, what is really exciting about all of this is, because of the magnitude, the number of people that Texas Education 911 represents. This is not just an idea that someone came up with and trying to fill in the holes to build a man-made idea. This is basically people across the state of Texas being woke up and recognizing that they have a responsibility to protect the children of Texas, and we need to make it right. We need to repent for the fact that we haven't been there to protect our children in the ways that we probably didn't even understand that we needed to. And we need to step up and do the right thing. And as people are doing that, our voice is getting very, very loud. And it's not getting loud because we're manufacturing it. It's getting loud because it is the opinion of the parents. And parents believe in what Texas Ed 911 is standing for. And so when I talk to legislators, when I talk to people, when I'm talking about the priorities of Texas Education 911, it isn't a negotiation. It isn't about, well, okay, I'll work on these 3 this year, and in a couple years we'll work on a couple more. This is the voice of the parent. And so if this is the voice of the parent, you as a legislator have to look at that and go, okay, the parent says this is a bad bill. If I'm going to vote for this bill, I need to know I am voting against the will of the parent. And you know what? If he thinks that's what's best, then he's going to have to, that's his conscience to deal with, right? But at least he knows where he or she knows the voice of the parent. We're not going to silence or moderate the voice of the parent so that we can play the game, or so that we can maybe not offend someone. This isn't about that. I think we're building great relationships, but they can't do their job if we don't tell them what parents actually need. And that's the difference between a lobbyist coming in, lobbying for something they're going to make money off of, versus a parent and the parent voice coming in saying, this is what I need to protect my children. This is what I need to reassert my parental rights and not have all these problems. And so it's a totally different way of having a conversation at the Capitol. But I think people are respecting it, and they're recognizing that, oh, wow, the voice of the parent matters, and it's been absent, but we're not going to be absent again.
Absolutely. And as you're saying that, that is how this country was founded, that you are listening to the voice of the people. And because we're so focused in Texas Ed 911 talking about families and children because of the education system, we're using the word parent because we're representing parents and the voice of the parent. But really, it's about we, the people. And so much of the time it seems that if moms and dads out there, from what I said earlier, if you feel intimidated about going to the Capitol, start going often and make it feel like it's your home, because that's why this game has continued as long as it has, is that we have elected people and then we've just ignored what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine if parents were going to the Capitol often and engaging often. We could change that system. We could change the way they perceive what is liberty, because they're going to hear from we, the people. And so we need to do that more often. We need to take up that space and start asserting our rights and what the rights that we already know that we have. So I think that's a challenge that I have for myself and for others, is start engaging not only with your legislators and the elected officials in your community, but start getting comfortable going to the Capitol. And that's definitely a message for me, Melissa, because I haven't been to the Capitol often enough. And it's time that we change that, because that is where we're going to be able to make change within our state, at least. But imagine if parents are doing that in every state, we can change our country back to its to the founding what the founding fathers established in this country and what made us so successful for so many years, and to establish the liberties that we have.
That's exactly right. And so we're going to probably close it up, but I want to just say one last thing. If you go to texased911.com, remember you can look up all the information about tomorrow. You can also go to a bill analysis page. Tomorrow we will be publishing our first bill analysis. That will also get you on all of our emails, and they are short, to the point, and they're only sent out when necessary, when there's action that needs to be done, or you might want to put something on your calendar type thing. And that's another way that you can be involved. Maybe you can't go to the Capitol for a day, but you can at home forward emails, make phone calls, and we give very specific instructions. Here's what's going on. Here's what we think the parents of Texas believe. If you're one of those parents, grandparents, taxpayers that wants your voice to be heard, here's who needs to be called, here's who needs to be emailed. And what we're finding is people are doing it because it resonates with them. It does equal what they believe. And we are trying to make it as easy and simple for people to be able to engage in their beliefs with their legislators. And so make sure you sign up to receive those things. Remember that we are not taking a position on school choice as Texas Education 911. We have allies who are for school choice. We have allies who are against school choice. No matter where that ends up, we have to have excellent public schools. One, we're paying for them, and two, there will always be children in public schools, no matter the circumstance, and we expect excellence for those kids. And so, Monica, have a great day. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. It is going to be one of the most exciting days at the Capitol. I'm just going to claim it. It'll be talked about for the rest of the session. So I'm excited to see you tomorrow.
Me too. See you later.
All right. Bye.